Jynx is a Pokemon in Gen 1 that punches way above her weight. In spite of the fact that she's only ranked 81st out of 151 Pokemon in terms of base stats, and really only has special and speed to carry her through the game, the Ice Psychic typing might be one of the best combinations in the game, at least when it comes to same type attack bonuses with moves. This Pokemon can learn Stab Blizzard and Stab Psychic, giving it two excellent offensive options, as well as the move Lovely Kiss in order to put opponents to sleep, and Body Slam if it wants to go for paralysis. And it's actually the reason why in the very first competitive tournament of Pokemon, Jynx was actually the top of OU. Those were of course in the days when Blizzard had a 30% chance to freeze. But even in the Pokemon Red and Blue games, with a 10% chance to freeze with Blizzard, Ice Punch, and Ice Beam, this Pokemon could be really good. The question is it good enough to stand up with the best of the best? Could it beat the entire game of Pokemon Red and Blue with only 13 battles? Well, today we're going to test that out on the format that I've been calling Ultra Minimum Battles that I started earlier this year based on a Johnstone video that broke down how you could simply do the gym leaders out of order using all the crazy glitches that exist in Gen 1. It presents the possibility to see just how few battles a Pokemon actually needs to completely crush the entire game. And with speed plus sleep plus the chance to freeze opponents, Jynx might turn out to be the best Pokemon we've done on this setting so far. But will it actually work out, or will that incredibly low defense and HP lead to Jynx getting completely destroyed? Let's get into this and find out. So as we step outside of Pallet Town, Professor Oak is going to lead us back to his lab because it turns out that his aunt has just come to town. He wants us to take her around and see how Kanto is. However, little does he know, we're going to take Auntie Olga here and put her through the absolute gauntlet that is Ultra Minimum Battles. Now, it has been a very long time since this Pokemon has been on the channel, and if you want to know why her name is Olga, go back and watch the stream that we did a couple years ago. But suffice it to say, I found this Pokemon to be the most horrifying thing ever in Generation 1. Like, just look at that sprite. Still, we're gonna give her a chance to prove that she's actually decent by playing this ROM hack of Ultra Minimum Battles with this Pokemon. We're gonna take on only 8 gym leaders, the Elite Four, the champion, that is it. But first off, we have to lose to rival number 1. This keeps everyone consistent by never getting XP here. So in this ROM hack, the rival just has a Gengar that will simply destroy us nice and easy. And with that done, we are ready to start this challenge properly. We have entered Sabrina's gym, but instead of all the random trainers in these cells, we have all of the gym leaders from the game. We have this guy right here available to heal us between battles, and this statue has now turned into a PC. And of course, if we try to leave this room, we will go straight to Lorelei's room and have to take on the entire league, meaning there is no escape. There is no way to go out and see the overworld. We just have to beat the game with only the 8 gym leaders and then go to the league. Let's see if this actually works out with our Jynx. So the first thing that we need to do is decide what order to take on the gym leaders, and I think the obvious first play is to take on Brock. But Jynx with just Pound and Lovely Kiss cannot win this fight, so we're gonna give it a different TM. And in fact, I think the best and simplest strategy here is actually just to go with Water Gun. 4 times super effective, plus it's a special move. But before we get into this, let's also make sure that we give our Pokemon all of the vitamins. We are running on Max DVs, and we're going to make sure this is the strongest level 5 version of Jynx, aka Auntie Olga, so that she will truly meet her billing as being the Ultra Olga of Generation 1. And after giving Jynx all of the vitamins, we're coming in at level 25 with 13 attack, 12 defense, 18 speed, and 18 special, and it's time to see if we can completely destroy Brock. So Brock leads off with Geodude, we go for Water Gun, and this is going to be a 2-hit KO, but it just goes for the defense girl, so nothing to worry about there. Onix is out next and goes Bide. Good job, Brocky boy. That guarantees that we get the incredibly easy victory as we get to level 8. 5 minutes 20 seconds with me doing a live explanation here to beat the Brock fight. And while you do need to learn a TM to get through that fight because you're never getting through with just Pound, remember he's got 5 full heals per Pokemon in this version, so you can't just like rely on sleep strats here. We do manage to get through, but with a slight score drop due to the fact that we had to use a TM there. But now with that done, we can start to progress through this challenge, and I think we need some decent moves in order to get through the next couple of trainers. I'm going to learn the move Body Slam because I think that could actually be incredibly useful. I'm also going to initially just learn the move Ice Beam. This is a pretty easy move to just stick on over Pound, and it will be one of our strongest same type moves. I would much prefer to get that rather than going Blizzard at this point. I think more PP is important while we're at a low level. And finally, I'm going to add on the move Reflect, and I'm going to forget Water Gun to learn this move. We could obviously get a stronger water move after Misty with Bubble Beam if we in fact need it, but we probably don't. We're probably just going with something like Ice Beam, Body Slam. Maybe we'll add on Psychic later on, but Psychic's not a great play against Misty, which is why I'm going to avoid it for now. Now, of course, we can pick up any TM that we want in the PC here, with the exception of Double Team, which is completely banned in this run, and the TMs that are given as rewards by trainers, because we want to make sure that we still have at least some incentive to fight them. But with that, I think our best play is to go to the Misty fight and just see if we can manage a win, considering that we could either A, go for a freeze in order to simply make her Pokemon free, or we could try to put them to sleep with the lovely Kiss and hope to body slam them down. Let's just see how this actually goes. So Misty attempt number 1, I'm just going to go Lovely Kiss on the Staryu. We do manage to get it to sleep. I'm going to set up Reflect as well. And now I guess Body Slam is our best play, but I'm not sure. Maybe Ice Beam does more damage. They're doing pretty similar amounts, and Water Gun with a critical hit simply ends us there. So this is not looking great to get through with our Jynx at this point. We may need a little bit of luck here. Now, Reflect does do the job of reducing the damage we take from Tackle quite a bit, meaning that this time we did in fact get through the Staryu. That brings us to Starmie at level 10, and honestly, I think our best play there is simply to go for the Ice Beam Freeze. Starmie has a massive critical hit chance due to its base speed in this version, so we're probably not going to get through with anything less. So it takes quite a few attempts to actually get back to the Starmie, and at this point we can see Body Slam is doing next to nothing to this Pokemon, only 4 damage per hit. So again, I think we have to freeze if we're even going to have a shot here. And clearly this isn't looking very good, so we may be better off routing slightly differently. It at least raises the question of whether or not we could get through Erica, given the fact that her Pokemon are weak against our same type moves. So while we are at an incredibly low level, this might be worth taking a try at. So Erica attempt number 1, she leads off with the Victory Bell, and it's just going to completely randomize between its 4 moves. We really want to see Poison Powder or like a Wrap Miss here. Instead, she goes Sleep Powder, and at that point, she's just going to attack and easily knock us out. But this could just be a matter of getting that 1 in 4 chance for her to use Poison Powder. It takes tons of attempts to finally get her to use a Poison Powder, but once we get it, now we can see what Ice Beam does, and it did next to nothing. So with that, it's pretty clear that Erica is also not possible at this point without at least slamming some rare candies. So I think that leaves Lieutenant Surge as the next best option. Let's see if he's beatable at this point. So Lieutenant Surge leads off with this Voltorb that loves to use Sonic Boom, but it can also go Tackle or Screech here. I'm just going to use this opportunity to set up a little bit with my Reflect and then go into Ice Beam here. And it turns out to be a 4-hit KO. I used Body Slam once, but we get to level 10 right there. he goes X speed on the Pikachu, allowing us to simply put it to sleep. And now Body Slam is doing pretty decent damage. We even paralyze it, so that's just a 3-hit KO. We get to level 11 as the Raichu comes out. It hits the Thunder Shock, but we get it to sleep. And now we get to see what our damage dealing moves actually do here. It wakes up and goes Thunder Shock again, so we lose the first attempt, but Lieutenant Surge is looking like he might just be possible. 2 attempts later, he just goes for the X speed turn 1 on the Voltorb, and that allows us to knock that Pokemon out with no damage. As we go to the Pikachu, it goes Thunder Wave on us, but then Thunder Shock only does 8 damage. So it's not really that bad of a range. We still probably want to go Body Slam here in order to try to knock this Pokemon out with our weaker moves, so that when we get to the Raichu, we'll have better odds of just using the move Ice Beam against it, but then Raichu knocks us out with a Thunderbolt. So this isn't looking consistent by any means, but we can pretty reliably get to the final Pokemon. Next attempt, we're back to the Raichu again. We get a nice critical hit turn 1 with Ice Beam, a crit turn 2. Remember, crits are tied to base speed in this generation, which is why we crit 18.5% of the time. And as long as it stays asleep, we actually managed to beat Lieutenant Surge on the 4th attempt. And that gets us to level 12. It took 18 minutes and 34 seconds with me kind of testing out different gym leaders there, but we were ultimately able to win that fight. Still, we're up to 19 resets and 3 TMs, so this isn't looking great at this point. We're losing score pretty quick, especially considering that we've only beaten 2 gym leaders, but this might just start to get better as we start to level up and have a little bit better ranges against some of these opponents. So I'm going to go back to Misty now and see if I can beat her at this point. Just because I'm at a significantly higher level, I think I might even be outspeeding against the Staryu now, and that could give us enough of an advantage to get through. So back to Misty after the Lieutenant Surge fight. We're actually still slower than Staryu, but we take significantly less damage from its moves. I'm just going to reflect here and go into the Body Slam. Yes, it did X defend, but still, we get a nice crit there and knock it out without too much damage taken as we get to level 13. That brings out the Starmie, which goes for Tackle, which is exactly what we want to see. Then she X defends while she's asleep, but we get a nice critical hit there. Crits ignore the stat boosts of our opponent, but we still go down after not being able to keep that Pokemon asleep. Next attempt, she just goes for the X defend immediately on the Staryu, and we're perfectly fine with X defense as long as we're getting some crits. We should still take this Pokemon down pretty easily, and so we get through to the Starmie on full health. Bubble Beam does over half, so we are hoping not to get that move too often, but once she's asleep, she does go for the X defend, and we're just hoping for some crits here. When she wakes up, we tried to Lovely Kiss again, but it missed, and we got knocked out by another Bubble Beam. Still, if we can time it out, we may be able to keep her asleep enough turns to actually win this, so I'm going to keep resetting here. This time she just stays asleep, so after 3 attempts, we were able to beat Misty, and we get to level 15 with our Jynx. We're up to 21 minutes and 25 seconds to get through this section. No additional TM moves learned. 21 total resets to this point, but now we can go and take on Erica at a significantly higher level, and we might have a better chance of actually getting through her. We also got access to the Bubble Beam TM in case we actually need it, so that was a pretty good win for us right there. But with that done, I'm going to come back to Erica and try her, and if this one doesn't work, my next play is going to be to go and try to take on Koga. Just because Koga, we may be able to find some strats to cheese, but let's try the Erica fight first. So Erica attempt number 1 after we've come back leveling up. She's still faster with the Victory Bell, but she's doing significantly less damage. Before, that Wrap was just 2-shotting us. Now it only took us down to half health on 3 hits. We do get the Poison Powder, and it looks like Victory Bell might be a 3 or 4 hit KO here. It is a 4-hitter, and with that, I think we might have a problem. She even Super Potions against us, Finally get a crit to knock out the Victory Bell, but this is not looking good as we go to Tangela. Tangela is slower, fortunately, and it's just a 2-hit KO. That brings out the Vileplume, which we do outspeed. We put it to sleep. Ice Beam does about a third. It stays asleep, and with that, we should be able to knock it out the next turn. So we actually beat Erica on the first attempt when we came back after having defeated Surge and Misty. As we get to level 18, and we could learn Lick, we will not learn Lick. Let's go ahead and move on to this. 23 minutes, 7 seconds to beat Erica with no additional resets on that fight. And now we're starting to gain levels at a pretty reasonable pace, which makes me think we might actually have a chance of getting through this. Still, it's time for Koga. Koga in this version is just using a whole bunch of poison type moves with poison Pokemon, so I think we need to finally learn Psychic here if we're going to win this. I'm going to forget Reflect to learn Psychic. We could always relearn Reflect later since it is a TM that's technically available in infinite quantities. Generally speaking, all of the TMs are programmed to be only used once unless they're available at the Celadon department store or they're available in the Rocket Game Quarter, in which case I will allow multiples in a single run. But with that, let's just see if we can actually manage a win here. So Koga attempt number 1, we are faster than the Coughing and put it to sleep. And now I think the best play here is honestly just to go Ice Beam against these weaker Pokemon. We want to save the Psychics for the 2 stronger Pokemon on this team, and Coughing is just a 4-hit KO here with Ice Beam. We get to level 19 as the Muck comes out, and we outspeed here, so we can put it to sleep and go Psychic, and we get a very nice special drop there as he just goes X attack. Twice in a row even, and that just lets us get the 3-hitter on Muck with no risk whatsoever. We get to level 20 as the second Coughing comes out. Sludge does massive damage because we missed the lovely Kiss, and that might be the end of us. We're going to go Psychic here because we need to knock it out as quick as possible now that we're on a timer. We do get through and level up to level 21. The Wheezing is still faster, but we do get it to sleep. We go Psychic, and this is looking like a 3-hit KO. We just need it to stay asleep one more turn, and just like that, with 1 HP remaining, we managed to beat Koga on the first attempt. We get to level 22 right there, and man, Jynx, Auntie Olga is starting to completely crush. That was actually kind of lucky, but hey, we'll take it. 25 minutes, 31 seconds to get through that gym. Still no additional resets, though we did slap on another TM in that one. But after having a lot of struggles, we're actually starting to get through these gym leaders really efficiently with this Jynx. But now we have to decide what to do next, and I honestly think this is a good time to go take on Sabrina, because out of the remaining 3 gym leaders, Sabrina is the only one against whom we basically resist all of her attacking moves, which in theory should make her not too bad, but let's just see how this actually works out. So Sabrina attempt number 1, she leads off with the Kadabra that's only rocking Psychic and Psybeam as damage dealing moves. She goes Psychic, but we survive nice and easy. And now we're just going to body slam this Pokemon multiple times after putting it to sleep. It turns out to be a 4-hit KO, but we get through on the first attempt, getting to level 23. We could learn Double Slap, but yet again, we will skip this move. That brings out Mr. Mime, who is kind of like the pair Pokemon of Jynx. They have very similar base stat totals, and Mr. Mime goes for the Double Slap, but we'll just yet again put this one to sleep and start body slamming it down. The ranges here aren't quite as good, but we do manage to paralyze it even and then knock it out after that. Venomoth is out next. It goes Leech Life and gets a critical hit. The crit may or may not have mattered though, given that we have really low defense, and that is a same type super effective move with the Venomoth. So that might be the issue in this one. It might just be running into that Leech Life. Let's see if we can get a better range. This time Kadabra just goes Recover turn 1 and then Disable, allowing us to simply knock it out while still on full health. After Mr. Mime uses the Double Slap, we do manage to get it to sleep, and we get a nice critical hit, in fact 2 in a row with the Body Slam. So we're going to get through at least with kind of decent health. We're at about half health as we get to the Venomoth. Yet again though, it crits with Leech Life and we go down, so we don't even get to see the range. if we would actually survive a non-crit here. Next attempt, we get to the Venomoth on over half health. It goes leech life, but we survive and we manage to put it to sleep with the Lovely Kiss, only for it to immediately wake up and knock us out. If we got more than like a 1-turn sleep there, it looks like this is a 3-hit KO without a crit with Psychic. So this is definitely a winnable fight. And once we get to Alakazam, we can actually cheese a little bit here. So I'm going to keep resetting. A few attempts later, we're back to the Venomoth again on decent health. It stays asleep for 1 turn this time. We get a critical hit Psychic, and then we knock it out the next turn. So that's all the luck that we actually need to get through there. We just need to get there with enough health that we can survive 1 leech life and then put that thing to sleep for a couple turns. And now we've made it to the Alakazam. Now, the thing with Alakazam is that its AI is completely bugged in Pokemon Red and Blue. It will never use an attacking move against an enemy Psychic type. It will only spam the move Recover. This has to do with the way that the game prioritizes moves based on type effectiveness. Effectively, it looks at the fact that it has Psybeam and Psywave, and because Psywave is supposed to do kind of fixed damage, it deprioritizes Psybeam, thinking that it should use Psywave. But then when it looks at Psywave, it says, oh yeah, I have another damage dealing move, so I should just deprioritize this one as well. That means that it will never use Psybeam or Psywave. Reflect being a Psychic type status move, it also just doesn't want to use. And that results in this weird situation where she will just never use those damage dealing moves and only use Recover over and over again. So the issue here is that we have to get this Pokemon in a range where we can actually knock it out. I'm using Psychic a bunch of times to lower its special and then going for the Ice Beams while it's asleep, and that is enough to get through Sabrina and get to level 25. It took 34 minutes and 7 seconds to win that fight. Jynx is starting to take more resets. It took about 7 resets there on Sabrina to get that to go, but we were able to get through a 6th gym without needing to use any rare candies or to use any overpowered TMs like Double Team or Mimic or Toxic or Rest. So I will take that small victory right there. But with that done, there are only 2 gym leaders left for us. We have either Blaine or Giovanni. Now, it was mentioned in the rules here that we can fight the gym leaders in this challenge in any order. That is because the entire premise of this challenge is that you could simply take on the gym leaders in any order by using walk-through walls or glitching through the game in order to do this. That's the entire point. So with that, we can actually come to Giovanni before Blaine, and this should be a much easier fight than the Blaine fight, given that we have no weakness to any of his moves. This is Pokemon Red Blue. He does not run Rock Slide on the Rhydon, so I think we have a chance here, but let's just see. So Giovanni, attempt number 1, he leads off with the Rhyhorn, which can only damage us with Stomp or Fury Attack, but I'm still going to put this Pokemon to sleep if I can. We missed the first 2, but he never lands a hit, and then Ice Beam looks to be a 2-hit KO on that Pokemon. That brings out the Dugtrio, which will randomize between all of its moves and even Sand Attacks here, which is terrible, but we get it to sleep, and now we just need to land Ice Beam. This appears to be a 2-hit KO. We'll just Body Slam it down from there. Against the Nidoqueen, I'm going to go for Psychic, and I'm going all in on attack because of the fact that we had the accuracy drop. We get knocked out on that first attempt. Still, we might be able to get this one to go if we just get different moves from our opponents. But now that we know that Rhyhorn is just a 2-hit KO, I'm not even going to mess around. We even crit on the next attempt. Dugtrio, same thing, but if it goes Slash, we're basically just dead. So next attempt, we did get a Sand Attack, but we get through the Dugtrio with no damage. I managed to land Lovely Kiss on the Nidoqueen, so now we just need to actually hit a damage dealing move. Psychic hits and gets a special drop as he guard specs. That lets us knock that Pokemon out in 2 hits. We're to the Nidoking. Thrash does massive damage, but then we do get it to sleep, and Psychic looks like it's going to be a 2-hitter after the special drop. So that brings out the Rhydon, and we have to land Ice Beam here if we're going to win, but 2 of its moves cannot affect us in Fissure and Horn Drill because we're faster, and Tail Whip is not really a factor, so it's only if it goes Stomp that it can knock us out, and of course that's what he does. Still, with that Rhydon being a 2-hit KO, this is clearly a winnable fight once we get there. This time we even get a sand attack miss from the Doug trio, which is perfect. That means we're going to get through with no status and no damage to the Nidoqueen as we put it to sleep. I will stick with Psychic for the chance to get the special drop, which means that it is a 2-hit KO. Nidoking, we're gonna do the same thing, and this time it goes Poison Sting on us before going Thrash. We just barely survive, but the poison takes us down. It's all because we missed 2 Lovely Kisses in a row. That is the problem with the strategy of relying on Lovely Kiss. It is only 75% accurate, so you got a 1 in 16 chance of missing 2 in a row. And when you do, you're probably going down due to the low defense and HP of this Pokemon. We get back to Nidoking on the very next attempt though, and this time the Lovely Kiss does land. We hit the Psychic. I'm going to go for Ice Beam after that. It's going to take 2 more hits, but we do take that Pokemon down. And now to the Rhydon, we land the Lovely Kiss, Ice Beam, and Ice Beam. And that is the end of Giovanni as we get to level 29. So it took 39 minutes, 29 seconds to defeat that gym leader, and we took 4 more resets, but we have managed to make it through 7 gyms, and that leaves only Blaine left before we go to the league. Now, technically, we could skip any gym leader in this and simply go to the league as we are. Walking out from here does not take you to Saffron City. It takes you to the Pokemon League, to Lorelei's room, in fact. So in theory, at least, we don't actually have to fight everything. But I am going to take on Blaine because I think we need the extra XP, especially because we don't have a whole lot of good moves to use in that Lorelei fight. Her entire team walls the ice type, so we're going to be relying on Psychic and things like Body Slam to get through there. And I'm not sure that that's actually going to work out. And we don't learn any moves that could get access to the Badge Boost glitch, which would be the other way to get through there. Though there is a strategy that I think will work in a pinch. I'm going to worry about that later. Let's go ahead and take on Bladey Boy and see if we can actually win in spite of our type weakness here. So Blaine attempt number 1, he leads off with Growlithe. We are faster and go for Lovely Kiss, and he goes for a full health Super Potion, so good job. Now we can go Psychic. It looks like this is going to be a 3-hit KO. He Super Potions again though, but we get a crit to just knock that Pokemon out. That's perfectly fine. Ponyta comes out next. We're still faster than this Pokemon, so we can manage to go for Psychic right here. He used both of his Super Potions, and he's only got 2 per Pokemon, so we can simply knock this Pokemon out after that. We get to level 30 as the Rapidash comes out. He's faster, but he's Super Potions turn 1, and we can go now into the Psychic, and this looks like it's going to be a 4-hitter, but then we get a crit. So we knock it out on the next turn. Arcanine is out, and once again, he Super Potions on full health. He drops his second Super Potion immediately after that, so we're able to start Psychicking this Pokemon down. And once we've run out of Psychic PP, we can actually just go into Ice Beam. In Gen 1, Fire does not resist Ice, so this is neutrally effective, but when the Arcanine wakes up with only 6 HP remaining, a single Fire Blast does knock us out. So that might have been insanely lucky to even get to the Arcanine, but we're gonna try this one again just to see. Next attempt, the Rapidash even gets us in a Fire Spin, which is the only move it's going to use because we're Ice type. It's just gonna spam Fire Spin over and over and over again. We're currently 6 points in speed slower than this Pokemon, so it could even be worthwhile to drop rare candies to be able to outspeed there. I'm not entirely sure if that's the best strategy, so I'm gonna take a few resets here. Keep in mind that Fire Spin can miss a reasonable percentage of the time. Next attempt, we even get the Fire Spin miss, so we can now go into Psychic. We get a nice critical hit on the first hit there and just knock out Rapidash in 2. And now the Arcanine is either going to go Ember or Fire Blast. It has a 15% chance to miss the Fire Blast, and Ember we might actually survive considering that Arcanine doesn't have great special, but when it hits the Fire Blast, that's basically a guaranteed KO. But after a bunch of attempts there, it's pretty clear that we're just not getting through that fight with our current setup. However, I do think I have a strategy that will get us through this fight, and that is TM31 for Mimic. Now, I'm actually going to learn this over Ice Beam because in the next fight against Lorelei, Ice Beam's not really going to be useful to us. So I think this is the best way to go. But the logic here is actually really simple. Now against the Growlithe, after we put it to sleep, we can mimic the move Agility. Agility gives us access to the badge boost glitch, as well as guaranteeing that we now outspeed the entire team. So as long as we can land the sleeps now, we should be able to actually knock out these Pokemon pretty efficiently, though we still have to be careful about the damage ranges here. So now we can simply put Rapidash to sleep, and I'm just going to body slam here for a minute. Unfortunately, we've missed so many lovely kisses in this one that we're simply going to lose from the looks of things. Still, we do take the Rapidash down at least, and that brings us to the final Arcanine. We get a special drop, but it is not enough in that one. We're going to need slightly better luck if we're going to get through Blaney Boy. Next attempt, we get a much better range on the first Growlithe, as we've set up all of the agilities. Now we can even just body slam the first couple Pokemon down. We're getting decent enough ranges. That brings us to the Rapidash. We put it to sleep. We can now just go into Psychic on this Pokemon. It looks like it might be a 3-hitter or a 4-hitter. We get a special drop, so that will guarantee the 3-hit KO. Arcanine comes out, and we missed the first lovely kiss. It did slightly over half with the Ember. He Super Potions turn 2, but we still couldn't hit any lovely kisses. That's the only issue. We've got to actually land lovely kiss on everything here if we're gonna get through this one. Next attempt, we get back to Arcanine though and put it to sleep this time. We go Psychic, we get a nice special drop, and then a nice crit. And with that, we're going to be able to finally win. It took 10 attempts on Blaine, but with the Mimic strats, you can get that one to go. As we get to level 31, we will not learn Ice Punch, but we are ready to go to the league at 52 minutes and 17 seconds. We're up to 41 resets total in this one. We've added 4 TMs and 1 broken overpowered TM. That, of course, is Mimic. Mimic is really broken here, but it is the strat that I think gets us through the rest of the game. We'll just have to see if that is the case, but our score is going down a little bit as we make our way to the league. Still, as we go into the final section of the game, it is time to just take out all of the items that we might need here. So I have taken out a bunch of possible TMs. Of course, we've got Blizzard, we've got Bide maybe, TM11 for Bubble Beam, we've got Toxic, Psywave could be a strat against an enemy Psychic type, Submission, we don't have great attack, but yet again it could help against Lorelei. Same for Seismic Toss, could work in certain situations. We've got more physical moves with Mega Punch and Mega Kick, got a bunch of Reflect TMs, we've got Metronome as a possibility, but also Rest and Substitute. I'm going to avoid any of those broken OP TMs as much as possible, but they might be required here on Lorelei. I honestly don't know. We're going to go in once at our current level and just see how this works out. Let's see if we can manage to get a victory or not. So Lorelei, attempt number 1. She leads off with the Dugong. We're faster and we do get to put this Pokemon to sleep. Now I'm going to go Psychic. That did not do a lot of damage though. We're probably going to need to use the rare candies here in order to actually get through this one. Still, we get the 4-hitter after the special drop. That brings us to the Cloyster, which we do outspeed. So we're going to stick with Psychic here. We get another nice special drop, and that's going to enable us to take that Pokemon down. Now that brings me to my strategy here. We're going to mimic the move Amnesia from this Slowbro. Once it's asleep, we can just set up 3 Amnesias here, and that should significantly boost our stats, so that hopefully with only a few Psychics left, we will be able to take down the final Lapras. I'm actually going to try to Body Slam here though. Though once it goes Withdraw, I think we have no choice but to go into Psychic. We're doing massive damage with this move, and then we can simply Body Slam her down. Against the enemy Jynx, we're slower, but we put it to sleep and we're able to go Body Slam, which is going to do far more damage to Jynx since it has low defense. So even after a Super Potion, we do take that one out. Now the Lapras. I'm going to put this Pokemon to sleep. We're going to go for our final Psychic. It doesn't do that much though, and Body Slam does not look like it's going to get the range to knock this one out. We did get the paralysis though, and that actually works out. We win on the first attempt at level 33 against Lorelei. Are you kidding me? As we get to level 34 without more PP in Psychic, that was looking pretty sus. A lot of people have mentioned I should put some PP ups in here. I have not added PP ups to this ROM hack at this point, so the fact that we were able to get through with only 10 PP in Psychic was actually pretty epic. But now with that done, I think the best play is to replace Body Slam with Blizzard. The entire reason why I've been keeping Body Slam up to this point was just because I thought I needed a physical move against Lorelei. It didn't actually turn out to be that big of a deal, but from here on out, Blizzard should give us pretty good ranges on a lot of Pokemon. So Body Slam goes, Blizzard comes in. Let's see how this one goes now. So first attempt against Bruno, he doesn't have Smart AI for this generation, even considering the fact that Smart AI is pretty dumb in Gen 1. He's still in a situation where he really can't do anything against us. Still, I'm going to mimic the move Harden just to make sure that I can get some badge boosts here. Then Blizzard is absolutely the play on the Onix. Hitmonchan will go Psychic and get the one-hit KO. We level up against the Hitmonlee. He outspeeds but just goes for an X defend, allowing us to knock that Pokemon out. I'm going to Lovely Kiss now against the Onix and just set up the rest of my badge boosts here. I don't want to be in a situation where I don't want to hit KO against the final Machamp. Onix goes down in a single hit though, and Machamp is a two-hitter as it goes submission and destroys me. Oh no, we've actually lost to Bruno. Oh man, clearly we just need to put that Machamp to sleep and we can get the win, but let's try this again. And here, since I know that we're going to have a potential issue with that Hitmonlee because we don't outspeed, I'm actually just going to set up all of the Hardens right here on the first Onix. Then we can go Psychic on the Hitmonchan. Hitmonlee comes out. He again just goes X defend. That's perfectly fine. Onix, we can go Blizzard. And now once again to the final Machamp. Psychic, he goes Leer this time, and that allows us to get the victory with no damage taken from Bruno in the second attempt. But man, if the challenge was to lose to Bruno once, we actually would have succeeded in this one, even while trying to use the best strategies that we could against each Pokemon, outside of putting that final Machamp to sleep, of course. But hey, you know, you can't win everything, right? With that, we're ready to take on Agatha, though. We are slower than the two Gengars. We could drop a bunch of rare candies, but I still don't think we would outspeed. But who knows? Maybe this just works out because we've got enough type coverage. Let's see. So Agatha attempt number 1. She goes Confuse Ray, and we hit ourselves in confusion twice even, but that's all she's managing to land on us is Confuse Ray, so I guess that's okay. We're just going to try to use Psychic now that we've got the Gengar asleep. This looks like a 3-hit KO, but it's a 2-hitter after we managed to get the special drop. Then Golbat hits us with a wing attack though, getting a critical hit and knocking us out in one turn. And the entire issue here is that we're being outsped by everything, and I'm not sure if the rare candies will get us to the point of being faster or not. This still looks like a pretty reasonable spot to use them though, so I think I'm just going to start slamming them right now. After slamming all of our rare candies, we can get to level 48, and we should now actually be faster than the first Gengar, and I think about in a speed tie with the final Gengar, which I think is the strategy that we need to get through this. So let's just test this out. So back against Agatha, we can actually just start putting Pokemon to sleep with Lovely Kiss. When she swaps to the Golbat, we'll just go for Blizzard there and get the easy one-hitter. Against the first Gengar, it's still a 2-hit KO with Psychic, but not too bad to get through that. Let's just go Psychic on Haunter. It just barely misses being a 1-hit KO. Arbok comes out next, and we'll just stick with Psychic here yet again. That takes us to the final Gengar, and thanks to the level up, we're 3 points in speed faster than this Pokemon. It goes Toxic against us and then Confuse Ray, and I'm trying to put this one to sleep to avoid that huge Nightshade, but we go down due to the Toxic damage. Still, if we could manage to land the sleep, I think we can win this one, so let's just keep resetting at this point. And here I'm even going to mimic the move Dream Eater from the first Gengar, because that gives me a way that I could even recover HP in this battle if I need to, thanks to the fact that we know the move Lovely Kiss. So this time I'll put the Haunter to sleep and use Dream Eater. Dream Eater is a slightly stronger move. It still turns out to be a 2-hit KO, but we take that one down. The Arbok screeches against us, which also is a badge boost, though it doesn't really matter because we level up right here. That brings us back to the final Gengar, which goes to sleep this time. We Dream Eater it, it stays asleep, and that means that we win on this attempt. So it took 4 tries to get through Agatha. She's gonna be a lottery, but after slamming the rare candies, she's not that bad. And now we get to go into Lance, where we have Stab with Blizzard, meaning that we should have a really good setup against all of his Pokemon, except for that first Gyarados, which is only going to be neutrally affected by our moves. But we're going to be faster than everything except Aerodactyl, so we should be in pretty good shape here. Let's just see how this goes. So Lance attempt number 1 against the Gyarados. I'm going to use Lovely Kiss, and then I'm actually going to mimic the move Dragon Rage. That just gives us another way to deal damage here, and particularly fixed damage. So if we run out of PP and our other moves, we'll at least be able to damage opponents with that. And after getting a special drop, it's just a 3-hitter on that Pokemon. We can go Blizzard on the first Dragonair though. Blizzard misses the second Dragonair, but we hit after that. I want to make sure that I have a Blizzard for the final Dragonite, so I'm going to try to put this Aerodactyl to sleep and use Psychic against it. We got confused by the Supersonic, but we snap out of confusion here as we knock it out, and now Blizzard does hit the Dragonite, sealing the victory. So Lance goes down on the first attempt. We would kind of expect that with an Ice-type Pokemon that has decent speed, but it's good to see that we didn't just get one-shot by the Aerodactyl there. If it had gone for Hyper Beam, we might have been in rough shape. But now with that done, it is time for the champion. I'm not going to make any changes to my moveset. I think this just comes down to figuring out what move to mimic so that we can actually knock out the whole team. Might be a situation where we want to mimic like Psychic from Alakazam just to have more PP. I'm honestly not sure, but let's get into this and test some things out. So first things first, the champion has a Pidgeot, and I think the only play is to go Blizzard. We miss, and then it goes Mirror Move against us. Still, we knock it out in one hit on the next turn. That brings out the Alakazam, which we are faster than, but we keep missing Lovely Kiss here, and I think that is required. The champion, unlike Sabrina, will use attacking moves against an enemy's Psychic type, which is why this is so important. So I'm going to mimic the move Psychic here and try to hopefully whittle this Alakazam down, just because we really do need to have enough PP for the remaining Pokemon. Instead, he wakes up and he even gets a special drop against us with his Psychic, and that could be putting us in a really bad situation once we run out of PP here. Of course, Blizzard will do a lot more damage, but I think we need more Blizzard PP later on. I'm just going to go Psychic against the Rhydon since we don't have enough Blizzard PP for everything at the end. It turns out to be a 3-hit KO even after the special drop though. Now to the Arcanine, we get a special drop with the first Psychic. It's just going Ember, but we get knocked out due to the fact that we were on low health. So Alakazam might be a problem here, and we might need a better way to get through that Pokemon. The issue is that this first Pidgeot only offers a couple moves, Wing Attack or Sky Attack, that could be used to damage that Alakazam. I'm going to try going for Sky Attack since it is a really strong move here, and we can just one-shot the Pidgeot after that. Now let's go ahead and try to put this Alakazam to sleep. It takes quite a few attempts, though it does finally sleep here. I'm going to go Blizzard once and then Sky Attack. He full restores on his Alakazam though. Still after that, we get a crit that allows us to one-shot against that Pokemon. That brings us to the Rhydon with much better health and more PP, so we can just Blizzard that Pokemon down. We will go Lovely Kiss on the Arcanine now and go into Psychic. Looks like a 3-hit KO on this one, though we do manage to take it out. Out next is Exeggutor. It stomps after we miss the first Lovely Kiss, But after that, we can even try Sky Attack here. It did decent damage, though Blizzard is the move to finish that one off. And that brings out Blastoise, the final Pokemon on the Rivals team. He goes Bite, and then he wakes up after the lovely kiss. We finally get him to stay asleep, though. Now Psychic. Looks like it's going to be a 3-hitter here. He stays asleep, and just like that, we do manage to win against the champion. Took a couple attempts there, but we did get it to go, as our rival says, no, that can't be. In spite of the fact that we are running the Pokemon with hands down the worst back sprite in Generation 1, and the front sprite also isn't any good, we did manage to beat all of Pokemon Red on Ultra Minimum Battles. It took, in the end, an hour, 10 minutes, and 49 seconds to get through that one. We ended up with 46 resets, 4 TMs learned, and 1 broken TM. That was Mimic. The move Mimic is truly broken in Pokemon solo runs because there are so many situations that you can cheese. I think we showed quite a few of them here, mimicking Agility from the Growlithe on Blaine's team, mimicking Amnesia from the Slowbro on Lorelei's team. In this case, with a Pokemon that has a sleep move, mimicking Dream Eater from the Gengars on Agatha's team, though you could also mimic the move Nightshade to do pretty decent damage there. And then here on the champion, there are a lot of spots where you can mimic. Some Pokemon mimic the Hypnosis from the Exeggutor, some Pokemon mimic Recover from the Alakazam, but in this case, it turned out to be mimicking Sky Attack that was the strategy to enable us to get through the Alakazam reliably. So that was incredibly interesting to see, and Jynx has gotten this entire challenge done. And in this one, the rival's going to be very upset about the mistakes that he made in this run, because that means that he has to get a kiss from Popo's wife, Auntie Olga. Nightmare fuel for any little boy at the time that these games came out. Seriously, the Jynx sprite freaked me out as a kid just because it's creepy as all get out. That's my opinion anyway. You tell me what you think about Popo's wife here. We have done it though, so I will just give a massive thank you to the channel members and to everybody who watches. Thank you for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to support me, consider joining the channel membership and watching another video. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. I will see you in the next one. Later.